Hey there, fellow farmers. Today we are diving into the serene yet exciting life of a fisherman in Stardew Valley. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the adventure. So a brand new day arrived, and we started our adventure on day 1. I wake up at 7:30 a.m. and the first thing I do is cut down some trees. Look at me go, I'm an absolute unit, being age 63 and I still know how to chop my own wood. I get enough wood and I can finally make a chest where I can store all my useless items. I quickly got bored of the farm, so I decided to take a stroll over to the lovely Pelican town, where I quickly made my way over to Pierre's shop. As I enter, I'm met with a fabulous gentleman called Gus, and look at his elegant looking mustache. I also greet Marnie and Pierre himself, telling me all about his shop. I also meet Abigail, daughter of Pierre. Isn't she so adorable? Then I make my way out of Pierre's general store to meet Alex, a sport enthusiast. I make my way to somebody's home and I met George, and let's say he wasn't happy about my visit. His wife was way more happy to see me, so I headed all over the town and went inside another house and met the adorable looking Vincent and his mum Jody. I then made my way to the beach and I've discovered a fish shop which was currently closed, and had a note on the door saying to come back tomorrow because the owner went fishing. So knowing I did my best to fit in with the villagers, I decided to end my day and I went to sleep. Day 2 has already begun, and the first thing I do is check the weather report on the television to see what type of weather will I be met with tomorrow. I check the mailbox and I get a nice letter saying that Willie got back from his fishing trip, meaning that the fish shop is now open. Knowing that the shop is open, I quickly made my way to the beach, where I was met with Willie himself. And I was super lucky enough to receive my very own fishing rod free of charge. I quickly realized that my storage is not enough, so I quickly went back to the farm to grab a chest. I put the chest down and began casting the line. I quickly began to understand fishing was super easy. I reeled in my first catch of the day, which was a sardine, measuring about 1 inch. I quickly threw my line back in the water and reeled in fish after fish after fish. I was catching all sorts of fish, from halibut to sardines to anchovies, you name it. I got them all. While I was fishing, I came across a treasure chest, and when I reeled it in, it gave me 10 pieces of bait, which of course this fishing rod could not use at the current stage. Also, one of the treasure chests I came across had a really nice find, which was a piece of topaz. I knew it was going to sell for a lot, so I decided to end my day fishing and went back to the farm to deposit all my caught fish and other treasures I caught along the way. I went to bed and day 2 was about to be over. I got greeted with fishing level 1 and fishing level 2, expanding my knowledge about fishing. And also had a quick glance of how much money I made on day 2. On day 3, I woke up to some thunderstorm sounds and very heavy rain. Knowing that it is raining, I quickly made my way to the beach, where I met Willie, also fishing as usual. I casted my fishing rod and began fishing. First catch of the day was a sardine, followed by the sardine was a beautiful herring. I also got rid of my old rod that Willie gave me and got a new fishing rod instead, which can now use the bait we have acquired. After a couple of minutes, I got bored of the fishing spot, so I made my way over to the bridge in Pelican Town, where I threw my line into the water and hoped that I will catch different types of fish. And yes, I caught a small mouth bass, which was a new fish added to the collection. Then I followed up with a shad. Once again, no fish were biting in that area, so I decided to switch places. This time I went north of Pelican Town and found out a new spot. And once again, I found out that different species of fish cohabit this area. So I caught a few carps and some bullheads. The bullheads were a problem to catch, as they were really hard to get the hang of. I really had to try. And once again, I forgot to bring a chest, so I ran out of storage and got forced to make my way back home. I deposited all my fish and other goodies into the storage box outside the house and went to sleep. I got greeted with fishing level 3 and fishing level 4, where we unlocked new fishing items to use later on in the game. We also made a good chunk of gold that day, and thus our day is over. Day 4 has arrived and I wake up to beautiful sunny weather. I went over to the mailbox and found out Willie sent me a nice message saying he got new items in stock. But today was a different type of day. I decided to make my way down past Marnie's ranch where I have spotted a new type of shop. It was a cute little mouse selling hats. So I decided to treat myself with a nice yellow hat. And what do you think, guys? I think this hat suits me really good. I headed over to a new fishing spot where I set up and put my chest right beside the tree. I casted my very first line of the day and I have caught a beautiful looking sunfish and found some coal too in the treasure chest. I kept fishing for a few hours and found a really interesting find. I have caught yet another sunfish, but this time the treasure chest had actual treasures inside. I found a diamond while fishing. You heard me, guys, a real diamond. I found it while fishing. I was so happy about that, I decided to call it a day. I brought all my items I needed to sell back to the storage box at the farm, so I decided to hit the bed and go to sleep. We get greeted by the lovely fishing level 5, where I picked the fisher profession so that we can earn even more gold along the way. And thus, day 4 was over. But hey, we made over 2,000 gold, which is super nice. Day 5 has arrived and I wake up and check the TV to see the weather for tomorrow. I open my front door and I'm greeted by Clint and Marnie. Today was Friday, so I made my way over to the travelling cart where I browsed all our goodies. The merchant had a lot of fish in stock, but I did not want to spend any gold as I was saving for a fishing rod upgrade. I headed back down to the beach where I headed inside Willie's shop. I had to stock up on bait since I ran out the other day. Also had a look for new fishing rods, but no luck today. Willie still had the old stock in rotation, so as always I casted the rod and began fishing. If you guess which fish I'm going to pull out, you owe me a like on this video. The first fish of the day was a sardine. I spotted some bubbles in the water, meaning that fish will bite much more frequently, so I decided to move over to that location, where I pretty much almost fished the whole day. I had a look in my chest after the hours of fishing and the chest was looking really good. Plenty of fish and other goodies inside. I took half of the fish and went back to the farm to deposit all the fish to the storage box to sell at the end of the day. But I had to make 2 trips down to the farm, which was kind of a pain. But when I finished selling my items, I headed over north to my favorite fishing location. I decided to do something new and do a little bit of night fishing. I caught a few carps along the way, but I decided to head to my farm since not a lot of fish were triggering the fishing rod. I came back home at around 1 AM in the morning and went straight to bed. We get greeted with fishing level 6, unlocking many fishing items. Also that day we made 2,500 gold, which again is super good. And thus, day 5 was over. On day 6, I headed north to my favorite fishing location. I casted my rod and caught my first fish, which was a carp. I casted about 55 more times and I hit 6 PM. I will show you a little bit of the fishing now on the screen. Don't worry, I will fast forward the boring bits, I got you guys. So I then ran out of energy so I couldn't cast my rod anymore. But we had a massive haul of fish today. Definitely one of my best fishing days so far. We have caught from smallmouth bass to carp, to largemouth bass, to bullheads. We caught all sorts of fish. Taking half of the fish I want to sell it at the farm. I also had to make 2 trips today as I caught so many fish. After making 2 of the trips back and forth, it was super late and my energy levels were really low. So I decided to hit the hay. We don't get greeted with anything on the screen today, but we managed to make a lot of money this day, making almost 4,000 gold. Day 7, which is the final day of this fishing adventure, begins with me going down to the beach. Casting my first rod and getting my first catch of the day, which was a halibut. I then headed over to the pier where I seen Willie fish as always. I casted my rod beside Willie and enjoyed the beautiful view. While I was fishing, I found another rare treasure being a magical book. I read it and it gave me a new power. With that out of the way, I noticed I had a juicy bank account with over 9,000 gold. I went into Willie's shop and bought a new rod, which was the iridium rod, costing us a massive 7,500 gold purchase. I also bought a spinner to make our catches even faster. I threw my old rod into the sea and got my new rod in hand and gave it a cast into the sea. Our very first catch with the rod was a sardine, the usual fish. It's always the goddamn sardines. Knowing that it's the final day of the adventure, I decided to keep fishing throughout the whole day, right about until 2 PM, where I stopped and moved all my fish from the chest all the way to the farm. I also had 2 trips that I needed to make. I hate doing trips, they're so annoying. So I went to bed at around 20 past 8 and got greeted with fishing level 7, unlocking even more cool fishing items. Our total for the day was just under 3000 gold. Not the best day, but not the worst day, and thus our journey of Joe the Fisherman has officially ended. Till next time, and have a great rest of your day, folks.